Dear students, welcome back to the class after a great weekend. I hope that all are enthusiastic to learn. So with such enthusiasm, let's begin our class today. Today, our topic for the class is about a very important particle. Now, the reason why I am saying it as a particle will be found out later in the class. And let me give you another hint. What is the topic for today is that it is quite in news from a couple of months now and maybe the reason of the pandemic. I hope all have guessed what is the topic for today. Yes, it is viruses. We know what are viruses now. So in today's class, let's have some basic information about the viruses. What is a virus? Virus is a group of ultramicroscopic, non-cellular, highly infectious agents that multiply only intracellularly inside the living host cell. Outside the host cell, they are inert particles. So what is a virus? It is an ultramicroscopic. That means we need a very powerful microscope to observe a virus. Non-cellular. They do not have any kind of cellular structure. Highly infectious agents. Generally, they are known to cause diseases. And they multiply only within the living host cell. So this kind of particles are called as virus particles. And a very important information, it is that it is an inert particle. That means a non-living matter outside the host cell. These viruses are regarded as an intermediate group between non-living entities and living organisms. So this is a statement. So here we cannot say that a virus is whether a living organism or it is a non-living entity. So it is said as an intermediate group between the non-living objects and a living organism. So let's find out some other facts about the viruses. Now let's come to the sizes of viruses. As we know that the virus, they are ultramicroscopic particles. Ultramicroscopic in the sense that they cannot be observed in a normal microscope. And for that we need electron microscope. Either that is the scanning electron microscope or transmission electron microscope. Now here the smallest and the largest plant viruses are given. So the smallest animal virus which causes foot and mouth disease of cattle is around the size of 10 nanometer. And the smallest plant virus is alfalfa mosaic virus whose size is 17 nanometer. The largest virus is beet yellow virus which weighs around to 1250 by 40 nanometer, and Pseudomonas pf is 1300 by 6 nanometer, and it is an bacterial virus. Now let's discuss about the shapes of the viruses. So viruses, they are found in various shapes, as you can see in the picture that here a few are displayed. That is the helical type, polyhedral type, spherical type, and the complex type. And this is the tadpole like structure also. And apart from this, there are also some other ones such as the cubical one, etc. Here the coronavirus, it belongs to the spherical type of viruses, which is very much common to cause influenza. So the coronavirus or the COVID-19. So this is also one such type of virus. And the other such shapes, that is the helical one. So helical one, that is also called as the elongated rod shaped structure, which is found in case of the tobacco mosaic virus. So this is a plant virus which is called as the tobacco mosaic virus. Then comes the polyhedral structure. So generally the polyhedral structure, so this is found in case of the polio virus and also some plant viruses such as turnip yellow mosaic. Then comes the last one, that is the tadpole like structure, or it is also called as the complex virus, which is found in case of virus particle which is called as bacteriophages. So these are in general the different types of shapes that the virus possesses. Now let's discuss about the general characters of viruses. Viruses are non-cellular and ultramicroscopic and infectious particles. So while discussing about the definition, so there we came to know that viruses, they do not possess any cellular structure and they are ultramicroscopic and infectious particles. The second characteristic is that they are perfect obligate parasites and cannot be grown on artificial medium. Now, what are obligate parasites? Obligate parasites are those that passes their whole lifetime by being a parasite. That means they are always meant to harm the living host. So here, as they are obligate parasites, so therefore they are known to cause different type of diseases to either plants or the animals. And another important characteristic is that they cannot be grown on artificial culture medium. Culture medium, so this is the artificial bed where various types of living organisms, mostly the microbes, they are cultured in the laboratory. So here the viruses, they cannot be cultured outside the living host. Therefore, it is said that they cannot be grown on artificial culture medium. The third point, it is that they lacks irritability, energy storing or using, motility and protoplasm. They lacks irritability. That means that they are generally non-responsive when they are outside the living host. Neither do they store any kind of energy. That is, they do not have any production of food, neither do they have the breakdown of the food to yield the energy, that is ATP, which is generally done by a living cell. The next point, it is motility. Motility, it means what? The movability. They cannot be moved from one place to another, and they do not have any kind of protoplasm. Protoplasm, that is generally the inner part of the cell. So they do not have any kind of protoplasm. Therefore, we can say that they lacks the cell organelles such as mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. And all viruses are nucleoproteins in nature. That means they are made up of nucleic acids such as DNA and the RNA and the proteins only. Inside the body of the virus are present the nucleic acids, which is the main component of a viral body. The nucleic acids are protected by the protein coat, and this association of the nucleic acids and the protein is only called as nucleoprotein. This protein coat, it generally protects the inner DNA component from the enzymes, and mostly it is the nucleases, because the enzyme nucleases, they denatures the genetic material, which is the DNA or the RNA inside the virus body. And when the genetic material, it gets denatured, that means destroyed, they cannot be called as living organism. It is only because of the presence of the genetic material that they are regarded as a living organism. So here these are the general characters of viruses, and there are lots more other characters in case of a virus, such as that they are called as adenoviruses when they are transmitted by the means of a vector, which is generally the arthropods. So they can be precipitated from suspensions and can be crystallized in the form of crystals. Now let's discuss about some more information about the viral body. The general structure of viruses. Structurally, the viruses are made up of the envelope, capsid, nucleoid, and occasionally one or two enzymes. Now let's first begin with the outer envelope. The envelope is the thin, loose outer covering which is found in case of some viruses. It is composed of proteins, which is mainly from the virus itself, lipids and carbohydrates. They do not have any kind of metabolism, but still they have the carbohydrates from the host cell. So we can find carbohydrates and lipids also in the envelope. The smaller subunits of the envelope are called as peplomers, and this envelope, it is mainly found in animal viruses such as herpes virus, HIV, that is human immunovirus, influenza virus, etc., and very rarely in case of plant viruses. When the virus do not possess the envelope, then they are called as naked. Now let's come to the next point, which is the capsid layer. So just next to the envelope comes the capsid. Now what is the capsid? It is the thin coat that surrounds the central portion of nucleoid and enzymes. So this is a thin coat which is specially made up of proteins and that covers the inner genetic material content, which can be either RNA or DNA, and along with enzymes. The capsid consists of a specific number and arrangement of some small subunits which are called as capsomeres, and they generally possesses antigenic properties. So the presence of the capsid that only generally bears the disease causing properties. The next comes the nucleoid. So nucleoids are the nucleic acids present in the viruses. So the genetic material can be in four forms, that is dsDNA, that means the double-stranded DNA, ssDNA, it means the single-stranded DNA, double-stranded RNA, and single-stranded RNA. And sometimes the enzymes such as lysozyme, reverse transcriptase are also present in case of some viruses. Generally, the double-stranded DNA, it is found in case of herpes virus, pox viruses, etc. Then the single-stranded DNA, it is generally found in case of a virus which is called as coliphase virus. The double-stranded RNA, it is found in case of wound tumor viruses, and the single-stranded RNA, it is found in case of tobacco mosaic virus, influenza virus, poliovirus, retroviruses, etc. So this is all about the general structure, that what does a virus bears. So in the diagram, I hope that you can have a small idea about the structure of a virus. So this is the structure which is of the complex virus or the tadpole-like virus. So as we know that they vary in their shapes, so the structure that will also vary accordingly. After discussing about all the basic facts about a virus, now let's discuss about the nature of virus, that whether they are living organism or any non-living entity. Because right at the beginning it was said that the virus, they are regarded as an intermediate between a non-living entity and a living organism. So it is quite difficult to actually say that the virus, it is either a living organism or not. Therefore, there are a few points which is given here that will help us to say that whether the viruses, they are living or non-living. Now at first let's come to the characters which says that the virus are non-living. Generally, the virus, they are not surrounded by a cell membrane or a cell wall, which is a characteristics of a living organism. Moreover, they do not show cellular metabolism and lack respiration. So it means here that they do not prepare any kind of food, nor do they have any kind of food. And as glucose or the food energy, it is not required for them, they lack the process of respiration. Here the process of respiration, it means the breaking down of the glucose particle with the help of oxygen or without the help of oxygen to yield energy, that is ATP. So no such chemical processes takes place inside the body of viruses as it is reported. And the next point, it is that they can be precipitated just like chemical substances. So with these points, now we can say that the viruses, they are non-living by nature. Now what are the living characteristics? So by viruses, they possess the genetic material such as DNA and the RNA. So some viruses, they possess DNA and some viruses, they possess RNA. All viruses are obligate parasites. That means they have certain reactions within a living host, and they can grow inside the host and multiply enormously. So the main purpose of a virus, that is the process of multiplication that actually takes place within the living host. Generally, as we have known earlier, that the unicellular organisms, they can reproduce by themselves, or reproduction, that is a essential characteristics of any kind of living organism. So here the viruses, though they cannot reproduce without any living host, but as soon as they come inside a living host, they can multiply themselves. Now let's discuss about some examples of viruses. So as we know that the viruses, they occurs in different shapes, sizes and forms, and in that we have three types of viruses. Those are the plant virus, animal virus and the bacterial virus. So here at first let's discuss about one of the plant virus, which is the tobacco mosaic virus. So this tobacco mosaic virus is a long, slender and a rod-shaped virus which is of helical shaped structure, and it measures about 80 nanometer in diameter and 300 nanometer in length. It is a complex structure made up of nucleoprotein. So we know what are nucleoprotein. That is the nucleic acids and the proteins together, which is called as nucleoprotein. And the central core of the ribonucleic acid is surrounded by the virus protein. It means that the genetic material is ribonucleic acid here, or the RNA, and it is surrounded by the capsid layer. The capsid layer is the protein part which makes the external sheet of the root. So from the diagram, I think you can see there that the green part, that is the capsid layer. And this capsid layer, it is made up of 2200 identical subunits. So they have small subunits which actually makes the whole capsid layer, and these subunits are called as capsomeres. The nucleic acid present in the virus's single-stranded RNA molecule. So here single-stranded RNA is found. So this is about the tobacco mosaic virus, as it causes the mosaic disease in case of a tobacco and some related plants. Therefore, it is called as tobacco mosaic virus. Now let's come to another example of virus is the bacteriophage. Now let's at first know what is this bacteriophage. Those viruses which attacks any bacterial cell. For example, Escherichia coli. Escherichia coli is the bacteria. So the virus which attacks bacteria like Escherichia coli are called as bacteriophage. That means they do not attack any other organism other than the bacteria. Such bacteriophages, they are tadpole-like virus which consist of a head and a tail of approximately equal length. It is a complex structure where the head is a polyhedral one and the tail, it is of made up of a protein sheet which is generally narrower than that of the head structure, and it is again supported by tail sheet proteins which are contractile in nature and in longitudinal direction. The outer coat, it is made up of protein again, and this coat it is called as the capsid layer, and this capsid layer it encloses a single molecule of double-stranded DNA. That means here the genetic material is the double-stranded helical DNA. So this is about the simple bacteriophages which is found in different strains. Now at last let's discuss about the animal viruses. The animal viruses usually attack the vertebrates like man, pigeon or any kind of birds, dogs, cow, etc. and they causes serious diseases. However, some of the viral diseases, they are not that deadly, and in this now we are going to discuss about the common viral diseases along with the type of virus that is involved in them. Now at first let's take the example of the influenza, which is quite similar to the COVID-19 virus, and this virus it is round or oval in shape and contains RNA as the genetic material. Then comes the poliovirus. Poliovirus, it is small and about 30 millimicron in diameter and contains around 75% protein and 25% RNA. So here also the genetic material is RNA. Then next comes the herpes virus. So the herpes virus, it have some vesicular eruptions on the skin and the mucosa together to damage the other organs of this of the systems. So the herpes virus, that is a generally a deadly virus. Then comes the AIDS virus. So all of us we know what is AIDS. AIDS, it means the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is caused by a virus named human immunodeficiency virus. So in the diagram you can see the AIDS virus there, and the last one is the rabies virus. So rabies virus, so this is a bullet shaped. Here the structure it is somewhat different. So it is a bullet shaped structure which is about 75 millimicron wide and 180 millimicron long, and here also it is the RNA, that is the genetic material. So there are different types of such viruses that we find in our nature, and one such outbreak is the COVID-19 virus, which is again regarded as the animal virus. So they have generally very great transmission rate. Similar other viruses are the smallpox virus, then conjunctivitis. So that is also another viral disease that we have. Then adenoviruses. The adenoviruses, they generally infects our respiratory organs, etc. After discussing the various points which was included in this topic virus, I hope that you have got some idea about what are viruses and how do they act upon the human body, or it is any kind of living organism, because we know that the viruses, when they are outside any living host, they are non-living structures, but as soon as they come within our body, either it is us or any kind of animal, plants it is, so they start replicating with the help of their genetic material. So in this class I have tried to discuss the various points which are related to the viral body and how their mechanism works in case of living host bodies. Thank you. That's all for today's class.